Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shobha ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Deepak ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Bhumika ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Sushila ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Janardhan ji, Hare Krishna. Okay. So let's begin our session with the prayers to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaurav Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki
Jai.
Nitai Gauranga ki
Jai.
Nitai Gaur.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
So welcome everybody for the
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
session on Bhagavad Gita. Overview. So we're discussing from third chapter. This is the 9th session on third chapter. Sorry for the interruption. Okay. So actually, so instead of becoming overview, it is becoming detailed session. That's what I can say. Nevertheless, because I wanted to cover every chapter in 2 sessions. It has become 9 sessions, 10 sessions. Okay. But anyway, we're trying to understand. That's the whole subject. That is the whole point. That is okay. Let's move forward. So, third chapter is titled Karma Yoga. So, third chapter, Krishna is describing with regard to our actions. Just like we eat, we talk, we do so many activities. But all those activities right now is concerning our pleasure, my personal pleasure. So Krishna mentioned in this chapter that when you do activities in a way that is only self-centered, then that is cause of bondage. We should do activities Krishna-centered. That's what Krishna explains in 9th verse of this chapter. Yagnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachar. Which means activities done as a sacrifice for Vishnu should be actually performed. Otherwise, work will bind you. Work will cause bondage in the material world. So activities for Krishna's satisfaction has to be performed. In the material world, we are performing activities for our satisfaction. Our satisfaction meaning our satisfaction of our senses, self-centered. There is no Krishna in the picture. That is the way in the material world we are functioning. And Krishna has in different ways explained, but if you go on doing like this, it's only going to cause you more and more material bondage. And Krishna gave examples of great personalities like Janak Maharaj and all the other great kings who performed activities in the form of yajna. And Krishna says, even when I come, I perform activities in a prescribed manner as given in scriptures. The scriptural directions are all meant for us to give us liberation. Any activities done on our own accord without proper direction is only going to cause us bondage. So these were the discussions Krishna has been doing in this chapter, and very clearly mentioned, when you do activities on your own, you get a type of a feeling that I am doing everything. That is called false ego. Actually, you are not doing anything, basically. It's all conducted by the modes of nature as directed by Krishna. Right? But falsely we think that ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. So like this, Krishna gave the conclusion, or rather, Prabhupada says the purpose of Bhagavad Gita in this initial verses of third chapter, 35 verses, that you have to surrender everything unto Krishna. The 30th verse of this chapter is very important. Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasyadhyatma chetasa. Sarvani karmani sanyasya. All activities you have to surrender unto Krishna. With mind fixed on me. Right? Then chetasa, adhyatma chetasa, mind fixed on me, without desire for gain. Nirashihi, nirmama, it is not mine, it's free from egoism. In this way, without any hesitation, we have to act. This was the conclusion which Krishna gave. So now, with all these instructions, how to act, how to conduct ourselves, Krishna is very clear. Action has to be performed for Krishna. That is called karma yoga. Otherwise, simply performing actions will have reaction. That is called only karma. Different types of actions Krishna is going to explain. Next chapter. Karma, vikarma, akarma, all these Krishna is going to further elaborate in next chapter. But meanwhile, Arjuna has one question. What is the question? Verse number 36. Atha kena prayuktoyam. Please have your Bhagavad Gita in front of you. I'm going to start discussing verse after verse from 36th verse. Arjuna vacha atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichan api vashneya baladiva niyojitaha. So Arjuna is just telling Krishna, okay, Krishna, you're telling me that perform activities in a prescribed way as per the directions in scriptures, which is known as yajna. But sometimes from within me, I feel a force. There's an impelling force to act in a contrary manner. Actions performed as per scriptural direction is called proper karma, virita karma. Actions against scriptural directions is called vikarma or papa karma. Right? Punya karma, papa karma. So Bhagavad Gita describes about punya, papa. So Arjuna is telling that sometimes from within me there is some sort of a force to act in a sinful manner. Unwillingly, anichannapi vashniya. What is this going on in me? It's a very important question. Right? Very nicely, in one of the contexts in Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada explains to us very nicely why is that we perform sinful activities. Prabhupada explains, is these sinful activities sanctioned by Krishna? This is what Arjuna's question is. Because all of us have Paramatma within us. So, good or bad, he only has to sanction, no? Yes, he is sanctioning, but under different conditions. Some other cause is there. That cause, what is that cause? Krishna explains in the following verses. So basically, so far Arjuna seems to have understood that we as spirit souls are originally pure. and we don't have any such other contaminated thoughts to be done. That's why Krishna is telling to perform this way, this way, this way. But in the material world, we are experiencing that much against my wish. We are sometimes acting sinfully and without hesitation. Right? It's not even I don't like it, but it happens. So there is something which is pushing me, some force is pushing me. So in one of the contexts in Bhagavatam, Prabhupada explains, is the sinful activities permitted by Krishna? Actually, Prabhupada says the Supreme Lord does not want any living entity to act sinfully. Why does Krishna want to force us to act in a sinful way? After all, he's sitting as Paramatma to guide you, right? In fact, Prabhupada says, Krishna begs every living entity through his good conscience to refrain from sin. Actually, when something wrong you are about to do, from within there is some prompting. Don't do. Right? That is called conscience. Paramatma sitting within you is telling you. Always he is telling you, don't do. But when someone insists, the living entity is insisting upon acting sinfully, the Lord allows or sanctions that person to act at his own risk. Mattaha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Actually, no one can do anything without the sanction of the Lord. But the Lord is so kind that the conditioned soul persists in doing something wrong, but the Lord permits the individual soul to act at his own risk. It's a very important principle you have to understand. When something wrong we are doing, Lord doesn't want that. He will remind you from within, don't do. But you are stubborn, I want to do it. Okay, what can be done? Because after all, Lord will respect your free will. And He'll sanction you to do. And that is the reason for our entanglement. Right? So this wonderful perspective Prabhupada gives. So basically, the tendency to act sinfully, why it is coming so prominently every now and then. Sinfully means going against scriptural rules, regulations, going against the standard established rules of what Krishna is telling us in Bhagavad Gita. That is called acting sinfully. Right? So, Paramatma, with great hesitation, great pain, he's telling, don't do, but even then you are insisting, so sanction. Right? So here, the free will of the living entity is respected, and the living entity is doing at his own risk. That's what you have to understand. So these things are all explained further very nicely in later chapters. In fact, 5th chapter, Krishna explains, Krishna does not involve with anybody's sin or piety. Papa or punya. Naratte kashchit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhuhu. Agnanena avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantaha. Krishna says that Krishna neither is involved in anybody's sin or piety, papa or punya. Living entity does something, it is bewildered by the influence of material nature and it is going on in the material world. Fine. So this is the question here. Arjuna is asking, what is that force from within me that is making me to act sinfully without hesitation? Why it is happening like this? So Krishna explains in the next 6 to 7 verses. Verse 37, Krishna says, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapatma Vidhi Enam Iha Vairinam. So Krishna says, the blessed Lord said, it is lust only, Kama Esha. About lust, Krishna has explained in the previous chapter, 2nd chapter. Right? In verse number 62 and 63. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangas teshu upajayate Sanga sanjayate kamaha. Right? What is kama? Kama means desire for personal enjoyment. Desire for sense gratification. It's called kama. So here that word kama is being again used. Desire for sense, personal sense enjoyment. And Prabhupada is using in a very nice way, translating lust. Lust means for me, I want to enjoy, I want to enjoy. That is called lust. It is lust only, Arjuna, kama esha, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion. Rajoguna samudbhavaha. And this is later transformed into wrath. Wrath means anger, krodha. Kama, unsatisfied will become krodha. Kama, satisfied will become lobha. Okay, very important. Kama, satisfied, lobha. Kama, dissatisfied, krodha. Both lobha and krodha will lead to moha. Right? Kama, krodha, lobha, moha. Mada, matsarya. 6 enemies. So, Krishna says, this kama, krodha, they are mahashano. Mahashana means all devouring, all consuming, like big fire, consuming everything. Mahashano, mahapapma. Mahapapma means very greatest, the greatly sinful, mahapapi. And they are big enemies. Very important words Krishna is using. This lust transformed into so many other next, degraded qualities are our greatest sinful enemy within us. They are all devouring and they'll consume you, they'll destroy you. Mahashano mahapapma vidhyena mihavayanam. This lesson which Krishna is giving us, we have to always remember. Never indulge in any sort of a activity which is sinful, which is going to consume yourself. Consume yourself means you're going to lose your spiritual understanding. Right? So many things Krishna further says on this. So let's understand this verse. So Arjuna's question was, what is that within me which is forcing me to act sinfully without hesitation? Krishna is telling, it is lust only. So what is this lust then? Where did it come from? Is the point. So Prabhupada nicely explains that we as living entities are pure spirit souls having love towards Krishna. Jivera Swarupa Nitya Krishna Dasa. It is a situation in spiritual world. When we came in contact with this material world, why did we come into contact with this material world? Because we wanted to become independent of Krishna. Krishna bhuliya jiva bhoga vancha kare. When living entity wanted to forget Krishna and wanted to enjoy independent of Krishna, that is called lust. Nikatastha maya tare japatiya dhare. Immediately maya captured me. So our actual love for Krishna has been transformed into lust. Because when you came in the contact of material world, the more started acting on us. Our pure love for Krishna has transformed into lust. It is actually love for Krishna which is in this way converted. So Prabhupada gives example of how milk in contact with any sour substance, tamarind or lemon or something, it will become curds. Right? Milk and curds are both milk products only, but they are having different qualities. Right? Likewise, this lust, what we have now, is nothing but our original love for Krishna transformed into lust. That love which is meant for only for Krishna's service, now it is appearing as lust, being diverted in so many ways as love for myself, love for my body, love. It's all lust actually. Lust means only self-centered. There is no Krishna center. So like this, Krishna explained in second chapter, 62nd, 63rd verse. What did he say? When the lust, sanga sanjayate kama, kamat krodho vijayate. From kama, lust, unsatisfied, will turn into anger, krodha. Krodha dhovati sammoha. From anger, illusion comes. Krodha dhovati sammoha, moha smriti vibramaha. From moha, your good sense. Krishna says, bewilderment of memory. Sammoha, smriti vibramaha. Smriti brahmashat buddhi nasho. Right? From anger, delusion. From delusion, krodha to sammoha, sammoha to smriti vibramaha. Smriti vibramaha to buddhi nasha. Buddhi nasha means your intelligence is lost, and like this, you continue your material existence. Krishna has explained in second chapter. So, like this, our whole the beginning of our fall down or coming in the material world is our lust, means our desire independent of Krishna to enjoy in the material world. That's why Krishna is telling this lust is the greatest enemy. And this is the biggest entanglement for us. Just see how nicely Krishna is explaining all these things. So basically, the whole process of Krishna consciousness is to transform the degradation, what has happened, into a way that we again regain our situation of love for Krishna. Love for Krishna is nothing different. It's already there in us, but it is transformed now. Through a particular process of sadhana, of chanting Hare Krishna, understanding Bhagavad Gita, following some regulative principles, this lust can be converted into love for Krishna. Transformed to love for Krishna. That is called sadhana process. So, basically, Prabhupada explains, as part and parcel of Krishna, we are eternally serving Krishna in a very nice way, wonderful way, very naturally, in a very happily. But when we want to independently, when and how it happened, we cannot trace back. It has happened somehow. We are in a situation wherein we are in a situation of forgetfulness of Krishna. And it has happened, and Prabhupada later on explains in the 15th chapter that as living entities, we have minute independence. This minute independence, because Krishna is supremely independent, we as living entities also have minute independence. This independence has been misused by us. Proper use of this independence to again regain our eternal relation with Krishna or awaken our relationship with Krishna is what is going to bring us to the proper situation. So, when the living entity doesn't want to serve Krishna, Krishna has to create a situation wherein the living entity can feel as though Krishna is not there. Especially this material world, you see, Krishna is not visible, but he is there. Unless until you want to see Krishna, he will be always hidden. That's the point. So, when the living entity is repeatedly disappointed, frustrated, bewildered, again and again, life after life, one point of time understands what is this I'm going on in this material world, why I'm going through all these sufferings, he'll come to good sense, then he will awaken. Very nice statement Rupa Goswami makes. Kamadinam katina palita durnideshaha tesham jata mayi karuna na trupa na upashantihi. Kamadinam means kama, krodha, lobha. They are my bad masters. And I've been following them. Palita Durnidesha. Durnidesha means wrong directions they are giving. I am simply obeying them. And these bad masters don't have no mercy. Lifelong, you go on serving them. Even then they will say, what you have done. Right? That is what this Kama, Krodha, Lobha. They are bad masters. And you go on serving them throughout life. Pesham jata na karuna, na trupa, not satisfied. No upashanti. They will never be, they will never get, extinguished. That fire of burning will be always there. Kama, Krodha. All our acharyas have written nice kirtans on how the Kama, Krodha is constantly burning in our heart. Morning Mangalarati, when we go to temple, the first song we sing is this only to Guru. Samsara Dava Nalidhaloka. Means I am in the middle of the forest fire of material existence. What is forest fire? Forest fire is within your heart, burning constantly. Lust, anger, greed, always burning. So much burning that, that I have to do, this I have to satisfy. Oh, this didn't happen, very angry. That is, mind is filled with this one. Samsara, Davanala. Right? So like this, the whole point is, in the material world, we are entangled like this. So, if you can somehow revive our relationship with Krishna through a standard, authentic process, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, bona fide spiritual master, then this can be properly revived. Our relationship with Krishna can be revived. Right? Which basically Prabhupada uses the word, when you start desiring everything for Krishna, then lust and anger can be spiritualized. There's a nice statement by Narottam Das Thakur, one of our acharyas. He says, Kama Krishna Karmarpane. Yes, I'm very lusty. Why don't you lust for only doing things for Krishna? Just like your lusty means, I desire things for my sense gratification. The same tendency to lust you do for Krishna's service, in Krishna's way of, Krishna's enjoyment. Kama Krishna Karmarpane. Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane. Krodha, you become angry when things are not satisfied for yourself or things are not going according to your plan. But instead of that, you become angry against people who are offending Krishna or Krishna's devotees. That is the right way of using your anger. Example is given of Hanumanji. Hanumanji was angry, not for himself. When Ravana was insulting him, he didn't bother. But when he started insulting Lord Ramachandra, he became angry and he burned the whole Lanka. Right? So, in Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada is trying to use our tendencies of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, everything for Krishna's service. This is called dovetailing, or using them for Krishna's service. Because unless used for Krishna or desire for Krishna, this will only burn you, all devouring. Maha Shano, Maha Papma. So you go on burning, whole life will be burning. One day on the deathbed, they'll burn you nicely. Very nice song is there. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, you are running here and there, satisfying your burning desires of Kama, Krodha. One fine day, 4 people will carry you and put you on the chita, on that what is that called? The wood. And finally, everywhere fire enters, and finally that way, same mouth, you would have chanted Hare Krishna, you simply open and keep your mouth. What is the use? Over, life is over. That life is over for you. Like this, acharyas are very, in fact, see, basically Bhagavad Gita is trying to, in a very detailed manner, thread where it is trying to discuss every aspect of our life. Otherwise, we are trying to close our eyes against, death, don't speak. As though, it's not going to happen to you. You are very much near to death every moment. You should discuss this. People only talk of art of living. People should talk art of dying. Prabhupada says, if you talk of art of dying, then you will live forever. Right? So this is the point. So this aspect of life, why we are impelled to commit sins unhesitatingly, sometimes against our will, is because there is some that lust, the love for Krishna, eternal love for Krishna, has transformed as lust within you. That is the problem. Now, next verse, Krishna explains the different degrees of lust, how all living entities in the material world are covered. One thing you have to understand, everybody in the material world, from Brahma down to small ant, all are covered by lust. All are lusty. Lusty means desiring for oneself. Enjoyment. No Krishna in picture. There are different degrees of lust. Based on your different degrees of lust, you get different types of bodies. When you see different types of living entities in the material world, it's only because they have different degrees of lust. Lust means how much the living entity desired for personal enjoyment. The next verse, 38th verse, Krishna says, Dhumena avriyate vahnir yathadarsho malinecha yathal beno brito garbhas tatha tenedam avritam. 3 examples Krishna is giving here. As fire is covered by smoke, Dhumena avrita. Vahni means fire. Dhumena means smoke. As fire is covered by smoke, mirror is covered by dust. Yatha darsho malena. Then, as embryo is covered by womb, similarly, living entity is covered by different degrees of lust. So, the consciousness of a living entity, based on how much the lust is covered, is a gradation. From smoke covered fire to embryo covered womb. Womb covered in the embryo. This is like, one full range of things. Basically, smoke covered fire is like little covering. Right? Whereas embryo within the womb is tightly packed. No possibility of moving. That's the understanding here. So, when the Prabhupada explains, when the consciousness is covered by lust, to some degree, to little degree, it can be compared to smoke. This is like when we get a human form, our situation is like this. So, our consciousness is covered, of course, but not to the extent that other forms of living entities like birds, animals, trees, their covering is much more. Because in our case, if some endeavor is done from our side or some other external endeavor of hearing holy name or some devotee association, something happens, that fire within you is again kindled. Fire means fire of Krishna consciousness is kindled. The smoke which is covering and is not clear, slowly when there is too much of smoke and fire is burning, slowly the fire becomes more and more bright. What happens? The smoke is removed. Likewise, when the fire within you, the spiritual fire within you is awakened slowly, the smoke in your consciousness is dissipated. Right? So this is like you have begun your journey of reviving your spiritual understanding. Example number 1. Right? So, then with regard to cleansing the mirror of the mind, Prabhupada explains, the dust on the mirror refers to by different spiritual methods. It's like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gives us a wonderful example. First thing, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Shikshashtaka, first verse. Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. Right? So slowly, when you come to that level of awakening, what happens? Then the dust is slowly removed and you can realize yourself what you are. And the best process of cleansing your heart is chanting the holy name of Krishna. So, whereas we can see so many other living entities around us who are totally, like Prabhupada gives example of cats, dogs, animals, they cannot understand Krishna consciousness. Why Prabhupada says this? Because their covering of their consciousness is so dense that it will not be possible to awaken them to the level of Krishna consciousness easily in this lifetime. Right? Here, basically, when the Prabhupada is further making it, nicely explaining it, the covering of the womb within the embryo, embryo within the womb is like trees. Trees are considered to be entities who cannot move also. They have to stand in the open sky, scorching heat, with pinching cold, right? But they are put in such a condition that because they exhibited so much of lust. There is a nice story in Krishna book. Two sons of Kubera, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, they were engaged in lustful activities with some young girls. And when Narad Muni was passing by, they didn't even bother about Narad Muni passing by. Narad Muni cursed them, you become two trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. So see, the example, when you see trees, plants, you understand they were too lusty in their previous lives. This is understanding. So, Prabhupada says, they have been put in such a great condition of life by exhibition of lust that they are almost void of consciousness. Right? So, one more analogy which Prabhupada gives with regard to the mirror covered by dust is that, like other living entities, animals and beasts, also this example also Prabhupada gives. Whereas the smoke covered by fire, Prabhupada gives example of human being. Because in human form, there's opportunity, that's why human form is very rarely obtained. Right? So, human form is that opportunity wherein you can escape from this whole cycle of birth and death. So that is the understanding. Basically, this verse is giving us an overall understanding of how the living entities, what you see around us, are all covered by different degrees of lust. The more you develop your Krishna consciousness, more you elevate your consciousness to service of Krishna, that much elevation happens. That's why there are gradations of planets also. Why there are upper planets, middle planets, lower planets. Again, the division is based on the degree of lust. Lust means what? Things for my personal enjoyment. Right? Lust, generally we think lust means, attraction between man and woman. That is the highest. Okay, but so many other forms also lust takes in terms of once attachment is there, that's why you want so many other things for your personal enjoyment. Ata griha ksheta sutapta vittai janasya mohoyam, Bhagavatam says. Pumsam striya mithuni bhavam. When male and female want to come together, then from that comes griha, kshetra, suta, apta, vitta. Griha means home. Kshetra means place of work. It's like earlier there were fields, agriculture fields. Right? Griha, kshetra, suta, children, apta, relatives. Then to maintain all of them, money, money, money. Money, 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 sweeter than honey, Prabhupada says. Only money is required. Oh, life, only money, money, money. That's all. Life is centered around money. That is material life. So like this, whole life goes, and again, repeatedly, you go on going in the material world. They're taking different words. So Arjuna's question of why one is impelled to act sinfully, even unwillingly, Krishna says, because our love for Krishna has been transformed into lust. And this is the enemy, biggest enemy. And this enemy is there since life after life, is taking different life forms in you. And you're continuing your existence in the material world. Indirectly, Krishna is hinting Unless you give up your lust and transform it into love for Krishna, your life will continue as in different species of life. More you become, that's why in the 16th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says how demonic people are so lusty, so angry. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Trividham, Narakasyedam. Krishna says, Kama, Krodha, Lobha are 3 gates to hell. So see, all these things are Krishna explaining everything. So to speak, when you read Bhagavad Gita holistically, different things, what Krishna has said, you get a complete picture of what Krishna is telling. In the next verse, Krishna explains further nature of this lust. He says, Avritam jnanametena jnanino nityavairina kama rupena kaunteya dushpurena analena cha. He says, like this, a man's pure consciousness, jnana. What is pure consciousness of living entity? Jivera Swarupa Nitya Krishna Dasa. This is pure consciousness, pure knowledge. This jnana is covered, avritam. It's like if I cover my face, you cannot see my face. Pure knowledge of living entity is covered by what? By this lust. Lust is covering our pure knowledge, and this is acting as his eternal enemy. Jnanino nitya vairina. Our pure knowledge that I am servant of Krishna is covered, and Maya is telling us, I am master of this material world. I am the boss. Big boss, not small boss, right? I am that master, I am this master, I am though, I am big. My word, nobody will say no, right? Like this, we go on in the material world. So, Jnanino Nitya Vairina, Kama Rupena Kaunteya. In the form of lust, it is covering you, your knowledge is covered, and this is never satisfied. Dushpura. Dushpurena. And why it is not satisfied? Because always burning like fire, I told you. It is never satisfied. Always burning like fire. No, unsatisfied it is always. So, basically, there are some so-called spiritual societies who say, you feel lust towards opposite sex or attraction to opposite sex, you enjoy, unlimitedly enjoy. Don't stop. A time will come when you'll be very satisfied. It's like telling, if you want to extinguish fire, go on putting fuel. Which fuel? Put ghee, nicely. What will happen? It may look like, for time being, some ghee you put, fire has little come down, but next moment, boom, it will become like a bomb. It will blast. That's what is going to happen. And this satisfaction of your lust will never be fulfilled throughout your life. Krishna explains this in 5th chapter. He says very nicely, this kama, krodha, udbhava, vega, we have to control, Arjuna. In 5th chapter, 23rd verse, Krishna says, Shakno hitaiva yashodhum praksharira vimokshana. Which means, sharira vimokshana, unless you die, until you die, go on controlling your kama, krodha, vega. Prabhupada gives a very instructive story on this. Once Akbar asked Birbal, this lust, maybe after some time it will go away, no? Birbal said, no, it will be there until the end of your life. So Akbar said, I can't believe, I'll show you. Birbal said, you bring your young daughter with you, one place I'll take you. Right? So one day was fixed, and Akbar took his young daughter, just teenager, and Birbal is going, 3 of them are going to one old man's place, was about to die. So Birbal told the king, as you move forward and as you approach the old man, you keep seeing at his eyes where he is looking. Fine, all 3 are going and approaching the old man who was on the deathbed. And as they're approaching, the old man as soon as he was, the three people are approaching, his eyes brightened and he was seeing only at the whom? Young daughter, not the king or Birbal. Right? Then Birbal said, see, what is going on? This fellow is on deathbed, but even then he wants to enjoy. So I was reading in Bhagavatam today, very interesting. This sense gratification tendency is so much, so strong. The material happiness tendency is so strong that the son is waiting. When the father will die, I will enjoy the property. Correct? Or the father is waiting. If the son dies, I will enjoy the property of son. Either way, either son dies or father dies, both of them want to enjoy the property. Correct? So this is the way material world goes on. And Prabhupada writes in the purport of that verse. I am talking from 5th canto, Bhagavatam. Fine. Generally, in the higher planetary systems, the son lives beyond the age of father. But on Earth, what is going on is that sometimes son dies, or most of the time son dies, father lives. This is how it is, all ulta pulta. So then father enjoys all the property of the son. Even he wants to enjoy the wife of the son. This is the type of material enjoyment you want to have, lust. And this is advertised as very nice. Enjoying. So I enjoyed nicely everything. This is the point. So like this, the Prabhupada is quoting from Manu Samhita. You go on satisfying your lust, your sense of sense enjoyment, you will never be satisfied. As fire can never be extinguished by constant supply of fuel. So basically, in the material world, the topmost enjoyment everybody is looking forward is what? Sex life. Jan maithunadi sukham tucham. The whole material world, Bhagavatam describes, it is called maithunya agara. Means everybody is shackled by sex life. Maya doesn't require any chains to shackle us. This very mood of enjoying the opposite sex itself is a entanglement for us. Right? When you disobey Krishna, want to enjoy independently, Maya gives you a feeling of independent enjoyment, and independent enjoyment is always there in every species of life. Male, female, attraction, over. That is big bondage. That bondage goes on up to end of life. Again, one more life. Again, male, female. Like this, one life male, one life female. You go on changing your life. This is what is going on in our life. So, material Prabhupada says advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing duration of material existence. Like this, you want the material world, what people want to do? Eat nicely, sleep nicely, enjoy sex nicely, unrestrictedly. That is life. If you're not done this, you're a big failure. That's what people think. That is the standard of material civilization. So basically, Prabhupada says like this, people are so dull-headed. They don't have a spiritual value of what is the purpose of our life. Now, Prabhupada is a very nice statement. Lust is a symbol of ignorance by which we are kept, imprisoned in the material world. Right? Some sense of happiness may be there, but that very sense of happiness is a big entanglement for us. That's what Krishna says. Mahashano mahapapma vidhyena viha vairinam. This is the ultimate enemy for us. That's what Krishna is telling us here. Kama rupena kaunteya nitya vairina. See, so many words Krishna uses in these last 3 verses we are using. Mahashano mahapapma vairi. Vairi means enemy. Enemy means always want to destroy you, always want to kill you. Right? This is the point. So like this, Krishna goes on to explain the different aspects of lust. How this lust the desire for independent enjoyment, self-centered enjoyment is so destructive. Whole Krishna consciousness philosophy is to give up this self-centered enjoyment and desire for Krishna. Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Atmendriya dhare kama nama. When you want to have self-centered happiness or independent happiness without Krishna, that is called kama. Krishnendriya priti ichha dhare premana. When you only want to satisfy Krishna's senses, that is called prema. And the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita says, kama, prema, they are like iron and gold. Both are metals, but the value is different. 1 kilo of iron, 50 rupees, 60 rupees you will get. 1 kilo of gold, oh, very expensive. Even 10 grams, what is the cost now? Gold? 50,000. Just see. So, Jameen Asman difference. So, if you think, oh, I am doing this service to Krishna just boastfully in a different way, that is that Krishna doesn't want. Krishna wants pure devotion, pure love. Pure love means I only want to serve Krishna. Example, gopis. They give up everything, sacrifice everything for service of Krishna. Right? If you tell, give up coffee, tea, oh, so difficult, you know. Coffee, tea, I've been drinking from the before my birth only I started drinking. Because my mother was drinking. So it was going in my stomach. I have got habituated now. I can't leave it. It's very sad. So Prabhupada says all these habits you are not there having by birth. Cigarette smoking, coffee drinking, all these things. You learned. Leave it now. No, you don't want, I can't live. So people are very much addicted to these habits. That's the problem. Okay. So we'll conclude here. If anybody want to ask anything or discuss anything, any comments, take a few questions. Very interesting section, this particular section, what we are discussing. Yeah. Yes, Kamaji, boliye. You're not able to unmute?
Yeah.
Please. Yeah, please.
There is one shloka which says, Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate gunan samatityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate.
Yes.
Now I am not able to understand this.
This comes in 14th chapter, 27th verse.
Yeah.
Okay. Krishna says, your bhakti should be like this. What way? Avyabhicharini bhakti. Vyabhichari means what? Your mind is diverted here and there. Vyabhichari means you are not fixed up.
Not one-pointed.
So Krishna says, Mam chayo avyabhicharini. When you fix up your mind only on me and perform bhakti like this, Mam chayo avyabhicharini bhakti yogena sevate. When you perform devotion with fixed mind on me, not like you're chanting Hare Krishna and you're watching cricket match. Hare Krishna, Hare sixer. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare. Oh, this happened. That is not avyabhicharini. It's called vibhichari bhakti. Right? So when you perform bhakti with avyabhicharini, means your mind, intelligence completely fixed on Krishna, then Krishna says, Sagunan samatityaitan. You will transcend the modes. Unless you fix your mind completely on Krishna, the influence of modes means the influence of Rajoguna, Tamoguna, Satvaguna, in different ways, acting on our consciousness, understanding, telling this, telling that, reminding this, reminding that. Now you're diverted from Krishna's service. So you're always within 3 modes only, you're moving around. Anything you do in the material world, good, bad, is all within 3 modes. So Krishna says, if you want to come out of these modes, Sagunan Samatityaitan, and come to the Brahman platform. Brahman platform means spiritual platform wherein you and Krishna is having a connection. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. That situation of Brahma Bhuya, Brahma Bhuta stage is possible. Now we are all Jiva Bhuta. Completely absorbed in materialistic thinking. 3 modes. Right. So Krishna says how to come out of these 3 modes even in this material body. Being in the material world, in this body, how to transcend the modes? Prabhupada, that's why he says, when you chant Hare Krishna mantra uninterruptedly, Avyabhicharini basically means uninterrupted, undiverted, fixed attention only on Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna and exactly the same sound you hear uninterruptedly. Very nice example Prabhupada gives. Iron rod kept in fire for a considerable time without interruption. What happens? Iron rod becomes red hot. It is no more iron rod. What it becomes? It becomes fire. Likewise, we place ourselves in the fire of devotion, or we place ourselves in contact with Krishna, holy name of Krishna, which is actually the son of Sachidananda fire. Constantly, Hare Krishna chanting and hearing only, nothing more. And what happens? You transcend for that time. You are not in the material world, you are in the spiritual world. You are liberated. So this can be done only by you. You have to decide whether you want to be in the material world or you want to be in spiritual world. So Prabhupada says you can be liberated even in this material world and experience Krishna. This is what Krishna has been telling in that chapter. Before this verse, Krishna speaks. He says, actually, you can transcend. He says, Gunan etan atitya trin. This is verse number 20 of 14th chapter. He says, Gunan etan atitya trin, dehi deha samudbhavan. When the embodied being transcends the 3 modes of nature, then what happens? He becomes free from janma mrityu jara dukkhair vimukto amrutam ashnute. You want to come out of this cycle of birth, death, old age, disease, janma mrityu jara dukkhair vimuktaha, and experience nectar even in this life, spiritual nectar. Amruta ashnute. You can enjoy nectar even in this life. That is what Krishna is explaining. Right? We have to experience spiritual happiness in this material world, while in the material world, this is the process. You have to transcend above the modes. How to transcend above the modes? When you do bhakti without interruption, without diversion, without deviation. This only means every day perform your sadhana properly. To have a proper consciousness. Every day chant Hare Krishna mantra. Every day read Bhagavad Gita. Every day and try to hear about spiritual understanding. This is what it means. Right? Not that one day I do, or weekly once I do, 6 days I will do something else. That is not, that doesn't serve the purpose. I hope I have explained.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Fine. So anything else, or we shall close now? Okay. So we'll continue our discussions and try to conclude our discussion on 3rd chapter in the next session. And before I close, I had sent a message. I think Rahul had sent a message in the morning about Prabhupada Vyasa Puja. Right? Many would have seen that. So basically, what is Vyasa Puja? Vyasa Puja, in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, that is the birth anniversary or the appearance day of the Acharya, the current Acharya for us. Vyasa is the incarnation of Krishna meant to give us Vedic literatures. He is the literary incarnation of Krishna. So, all the gurus, acharyas in that parampara are all representatives of Vyasa. So, their appearance day I don't want to use the word birthday, which generally people use with regard to our personal, birthday. It is, they are actually, they appear. The birth of great personalities, spiritual personalities, is called appearance and disappearance. They are not born and dead. No, they are always appearing and disappearing from our vision. Somewhere performing their Leela constantly, Nitya Leela. That's why when you chant prayers to Prabhupada, it says, Evam Vishnupada Nitya Leela Ravishta. He has entered into the Nitya Leela of Krishna, somewhere in different world. So Vyasa Puja basically means to honor Prabhupada, our spiritual master, for all the knowledge what he has given, for all the spiritual benefit we are experiencing, for all the various spiritual enlightenment we have, and how our life has got transformed. I mentioned few things in the message. You just read that. So what is expected from you is to express your gratitude by writing few words, maybe few sentences or half a page of your experience of how Prabhupada has influenced your thinking, your life, and your way of spiritual understanding. That's what we want you to express yourself and send it to Rahul before 20th of this month. Because we have to tell thank you to Prabhupada. That is a service to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada will take this and offer it to Krishna. And your devotion will increase. When you glorify a pure devotee, you will be benefited in spiritual life. Very important. Okay. So please go through that message. If anybody has anything to ask, you can either ask me personally or write a message. We will respond to you. But please start thinking and start drafting, and let us try to understand this and close this by next 20th. We have another 10 days, 12 days. We have 13 days. Okay. So let's do this. So we close now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Everybody, Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.